Pretty sure that everyone can hear me on Elevate and Living.
We can hear you.
All right. All right, guys, good morning. Welcome to day 2 of Ignite. Today, we're going to be talking about embracing your job. Yesterday, it was Spark Your Career, and we went over a lot of fabulous information about Keller Williams and our systems and models and belief systems. And today, we're going to put that together with, embracing those things and implementing those into your job. I will go ahead and introduce myself again for those who might be new to the class today. I'm Gina Ferrer. I'm the productivity coach here at Legacy. I've been licensed for about 25 years this year and been coaching now for 3. Love the coaching job, love KW, and hope that this will be, when you're done with Ignite, a great way to either spark your career that you're already in the midst of or revive some things that you already knew. I know that we all need those refreshers. And for those of you that are brand new, we'll give you some ideas of what people that have a highly successful career are doing. And then my co-host today.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Market Center Tech Trainer for Living, Elevate, and Legacy. So all 3 of you. So at some point you will get to know me in one shape or form, maybe through commissions, maybe you need help with command, maybe you need ideas for tech related, but I'm always around.
So I thought we could do just a brief recap of yesterday, and then guys on Zoom, we're going to go ahead and pause and mute ourselves for about 5 minutes so that we can have some in-person questions and thoughts from yesterday. It was hard to try to mic us up and do that as a group. So if you guys want to mute yourself, and we'll just take about 5 minutes to talk to our individual market centers about recapping yesterday and what questions and what ahas you had from yesterday, and then we'll regroup in about 5 minutes.
course on the command.
Lynn? Yep, so I would schedule a meeting with Lynn and then she can walk you through kind of where that is and how to get into the system and how to make.
Gathering back.
Awesome. All right, off we go. So today, one of the things that we're gonna do is we're gonna find an accountability partner. And then we're going to work with that accountability partner throughout the whole 6 weeks. So we are going to jump into an exercise here in a few minutes, but I want to talk a little bit about what that's going to look like with an accountability partner. So some other things that we're going to do today besides that is yesterday we talked about the value proposition of being part of a Keller Williams agency. And today we're going to implement that information into embracing your job and how you're going to move forward. And one of the ways you're going to do that is have an accountability partner. So, what that looks like is someone that you can script with, someone that you can say as you're going through that success tracker, which is something that you should be working on every day that you're doing Ignite. Did you do it? What does that look like? And we're going to do a little exercise here in a few minutes on picking your accountability partner and moving forward so sticking with that, whether it's the person who's sitting next to you or someone that you know in the room, we want to proceed to doing that as well. Some other things that we're going to talk about today and what I hope that you'll take away by the end of today's 2-hour class is we're going to apply the 6 core competencies of a business. Recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients and review that system tracker again, that success tracker. So what we're going to do, I hate to go back into another mute, but there's a lot of different, in this particular class, there's going to be a lot of different group activities. So we're going to be doing a lot of hands-on market center individual things because it's really hard for us to try to do that on Zoom. So I apologize for those on Zoom. But right now we're going to do another little break and it's going to be maybe more like 7 to 10 minutes because what I want you guys to do is find your accountability partner in your market center. And then we're going to go over what that's going to look like and what questions you're going to be asking each other and how that's going to roll. So we're going to roll right into that and then we'll come back in about, we'll say 7 minutes and then we'll get started on the 6 core competencies in your business. So I want you guys to find your accountability partner and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do.
Sorry.
Legacy, can you get mute? Thanks.
Since we busted off and told them to mute, do you want them to hear you?
That's yeah.
Oh, look, it just says Barb's iPhone. That's what I wanted it to say. But I had to have the video.
1 more minute, guys.
All right, we're gonna get back to it. Ding, ding, ding.
All right, guys.
All right, so now that you have your accountability partner, we're gonna talk more about some other things, and then we're gonna roll back into doing a group activity here in a little bit. And then I'm gonna give you some more instruction about what and that's gonna look like with your partner, not just today, but moving forward through the whole 6 weeks. We've got some criteria so that you're not just, okay, I have my partner and now what am I gonna do with them? So we will get into that here a little bit. But let's now start, thinking about, why did I get into real estate? What did I envision it was gonna look like? I do a class that's a day in the life of an agent, and I created that class because as I started in coaching, I realized how many people had a different vision of what real estate looked like and what their day would look like. And most of you new in the business, and even now after a couple of years, started out thinking that your day looked like out just showing houses and out just listing houses. And that's absolutely not what the day looks like. So we're going to talk a little bit about, what does the day of an agent that's successful actually look like? To maintain a successful business, it's not just about being out there showing houses. It's about all the things that you're doing to grow your actual business, right? To move forward. So as I'm kind of going through some of this info, please do, everyone on the Zoom, jump in and ask any questions, and everyone in class, if you have any thoughts or questions, please just, jump right in. But we're going to go right ahead into the 6 core competencies of a business, which comes right from Gary Keller's The Book, The Shift. Let's just go right through each of them quickly here, and then we will break each one of them down. Number 1, lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. 3, show buyers and market sellers. 4, write and negotiate contracts, which happens to be the class tonight at 6, guys. I'll put a little plug in for that. And number 5, coordinate the sale to closing. And number 6, manage the money. So we're going to build as we go and kind of see how we start out at the beginning here and how that grows into the business that you need to build if you want to stay in this industry and have a successful company running for you. All right, so what do those daily practices look like, and how do we work in the lead generating into our day? I know that's sort of like, it's kind of like working out. Unless you love doing it, which I never met a person who actually loves doing it. We do it because we have to, right? It's the first thing that I do. If it wasn't the first thing that I did, it wouldn't get done. I'm not going to just hop on my Peloton at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just not. I have every good intention if I didn't do it in the morning, but it's never going to happen. I'm going to come up with a million excuses why it's not going to happen. and I'm just not an evening workout person. So it's kind of like, there's a book that I recommend called Eat That Frog. And the frog is lead generating. It's that thing that we don't want to do, but we know we have to do. It's a means to the end, and it's kind of doing that and, you know, plugging that into your day. And for me too, it's like getting it out of the way. It's like, let's just do the laundry every day so it doesn't pile up, right? So, what does that look like? And you have to get good at it. You have to get good at lead generating, knowing where the leads are coming from, and then knowing what to say. And we talked a little about an opportunity at our dentist's office, but it's probably because you hadn't practiced that yet, you know, so you can give yourself a break. Now you know, and now you can practice that, because it's really important to learn the things that you should be doing, but also what does that look like? And learning how to ask people for their information. So for example, my daughter, who's a hairdresser, every time she says to me, I have a client that is going to buy or sell a house, and I gave them your card, or I gave them your number. I always say, whoa, no, give me their information, because most likely they're never going to call. Let's just face it. We spend a little bit of money on a lot of business cards, and how many times do we pass out cards and we never get a call from that? So that's not, and how many people do you call from business card? I have a little place in my kitchen that I pile some business cards of things that I might need in the future. And maybe if I'm searching for something, I might go back and look for it. But most people, that's not going to happen. So you need to do a good job of learning how to ask for their information. So, you know, how do I go about that? And that's part of the scripting, you know, learning to get comfortable with it, coming from a place of contribution and how can I help you is the attitude. It's not, yeah, go ahead, Paige.
So I've done that and I tell people,
Yeah.
you know, they're like, oh, I have a friend. Oh, give me your friend's information. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Like right away. And then sometimes I'll have to like keep nagging them. Is that okay if I'm like, hey, just, you know, if your
So-
friend's still looking, you know, don't forget.
And I think that's okay, because otherwise what's going to happen? Nothing, right? So keep trying. But as long as you're coming from the place of, I would like to help your friend that you said that wanted me to help them. So you're just giving them what they wanted. And you've got to get comfortable with that. So that's where the confidence part comes in. I'm confident that when someone asks for my help, that I'm giving them my help. It's like with internet leads. Someone recently asked me, and I think it might have been you again, Heather, yesterday. When a lead comes from internet and they give you their phone number and their email address, are they actually expecting a call? Well, yes, they are. They wouldn't have given you their correct information if they weren't. So they actually are expecting that, because we're reaching out to help them. So you've got to get good and start to get confident in thinking about, you know, capturing their information and then learning how to get that conversation to convert into an appointment.
What's the worst thing that could happen? They say no.
That's right. Yeah.
You tried and they said no, so you move on, but you keep trying.
And there's so few no's, by the way. So when you get a no, good, you got it out of the way. So there's so few people that are going to say no. By the way, I also never say, can I have? I always say, go ahead and give me. So Lynn, go ahead and give me your email address so I can send you some more information.
You take out the opportunity for me to say no.
That's right. So now you really have to be someone who's like, absolutely not, right? So go ahead and give me your phone number so I can call you when I see a house that fits the criteria we just talked about. Not here's my card and when you decide you're thinking about buying.
You give them away out.
That's right. So that's just, again, that comes with practice. And that's the kind of things you guys are going to do with your accountability partner too, as you're moving forward. Working with the lead generating and rolling into present to buyers, sellers to get agreement. So let's talk about that. So with buyers, we're showing properties. Your opportunity to get a exclusive buyer's agency signed is typically when you do a buyer consultation and or, depending, We are gonna shift back into the opportunity to have buyer things slow down. We used to, 2 years ago plus, have time to say, let's meet at the office and let's go over what it is you're looking for and kind of interview them. And then sit down and go over a buyer packet. As things have been the past couple of years, there's no time for that, right? It's, I want to just see the house. Are you crazy? I'm not coming to your office. You know, we are going to roll back into that time again, but don't miss an opportunity to have a buyer consultation. That can happen over the phone, and that can happen at the first house that you show them. I insist on it. So if I'm showing a house and I haven't met the person, it just depends on the relationship too. So if I got this lead referral or, you know, whatever it is, someone that was an internet lead, and I've only talked to them on the phone 2 times, that might look a little different than someone who I've been nurturing and calling and texting and emailing for 6 months, and then they finally go look at a house, right? Because during that period of time that I've been nurturing, I've been talking about this stuff. So then it's just, hey, all the great stuff we've been talking about, I've gotten a great little folder here to finally give you, right? But when it's the person that you just met, which is kind of what's been happening now, have your buyer packet. And we do a lot of classes on making your buyer and seller packets. There's fabulous templates in Command to be able to choose from. Do not print all 30 pages.
And if you guys are ever confused about that, give me every single website across the Market Center, and you can request me and I can help you.
What do you think she's saying right now? That's a great guess.
We can help.
I put my photo, I put my information, and then I choose the pages that I want.
Read it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit what you're saying, get rid of it or change it.
And it's perfectly customizable.
Absolutely.
So if you're not staging, remove that line from the listing one. Otherwise, your seller is going to say, it says you were staging.
Right.
So make sure that you actually look at it and don't just print it. But don't ever miss an opportunity to have a buyer consultation, even if it's on the hood of your car and you're going to go over this information before you enter the house. So when you're having that buyer presentation, that's your opportunity, one, to get that consumer guide signed that we're required to have signed, but also to slip in that exclusive buyer's agency agreement. So one of the things we're going to talk about is how many appointments is it going to take for me to sell so many houses, but also how many contracts, how many exclusive buyer's agencies do I need to get signed to get appointments to sell houses, right? With sellers, they hire you. They are signing an exclusive agency. So you have an agreement together. It's a little bit trickier with buyers. And, you know, get comfortable and confident about what you're offering them in your buyer presentation. Again, when you're coming from a place of contribution, the person's going to look like a jerk that says, no, I don't want your help. You're not salesy. When someone says, I'm afraid of being too pushy and I'm feeling salesy, that's just an excuse not to ask for them to commit to you. But again, there's a line. There's definitely a line. We've had people in my classes explain to me how he was presenting an exclusive buyer's agency and the client was backing away physically, you know, so watch their body language. Also practice your disc here. This is where you can get a vibe of someone's personality. And then how can I handle based on their personality type? What's my best chances of getting that contract signed? If it's not today at this first appointment, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to leave it with them. And I'm going to say, we're going to talk about it next time we meet. And it's okay to leave it with that. So you're going to be able to gauge how much business you're going to have based on getting those documents signed. Your exclusive right to sell is a little bit more, you know, black and white. You've gone on a listing appointment. They've decided they're going to list with you and they sign an exclusive right to sell. Not easier, but it's a little more clear. You're a little bit murky when it comes to the buyer agency. Thoughts and questions? Anyone has any thoughts on things that they've experienced that work for them or haven't worked for them with getting, in particular, a buyer's agency signed? Go ahead.
I just, because of the way the market is gonna be the next like 3 to 6 months, everybody's like scared to buy or make that investment I just feel like they're just losing money basically. So I haven't been able to convince people like this is gonna be good for you. And I also kind of don't believe that myself. I don't wanna get people into a position where they're buying something and they're just,
Okay, so it's not, one, it's not your responsibility to be their money manager. So stop thinking that. They've met you or they're talking to you because they had some interest in real estate. And also remember this, we aren't in a bad market and we're not shifting into a bad market. We've recovered from the terrible market from 2008, 9, and 10. We're where we're supposed to be.
okay,
People are not overpaying. They're where we're supposed to be. And interest rates are where they've been for 2 decades. They dipped for a minute. So that you have to understand.
okay. I was under the impression we were like gonna go into the session.
I mean, people have different opinions about that, but either way, real estate's still your best investment. And if they're gonna buy a house and stay in it for 30 years, it doesn't matter. So you have to find out your client's intentions. So here's where the point is, you've got to ask questions. You have to be able to let your clients understand that you care about their needs. And the way you do that, and we're getting ahead because if we talk about this in here, is which we'll roll right into it. If I am a buyer of anything and the salesperson is very interested in what my needs are, that's very different than the person who's just trying to sell me something, which we'll get into later. And that's where that fiduciary responsibility comes in. So you do have to get confident that there's a product someone's looking for. And by the way, people buy and sell real estate for many reasons. And it's not just because we're in a good or a bad market. It's because I'm upsizing, downsizing, my lease is up and I'm sick of giving money to a landlord. I have a death in the family, a divorce in the family, kids moving in, kids moving out, all kinds of millions of reasons. And one of the things when you're basically interviewing those clients is, what's your pain point? What's the reason that you're buying and selling, and how can I help you get to the goal that you want to reach? So you need to get that settled in, and then also know it's not your responsibility. You're not their mom. Trust me, if you ever bring parents on a showing, they'll figure that out for them. So it's okay. You're selling them what they asked you to. That makes sense?
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking more along the lines of like, when I go door knocking and stuff like that. That's, I feel like, a little more difficult. Now, if somebody comes up to me saying that, you know, this is what they want, or it's like, obviously that's not hard to
Yeah.
work with, but trying to convince somebody who wasn't thinking.
Michael, we all need it. We're not needed. Okay. I just wanted to give a little. My hand, I guess.
Anytime you want to chime in, you can chime in, sure.
It's loud, we're frozen.
Out after that, and so on and so forth. So sometime in the future, because farming is a long-term benefit that's going to come back to you. It's not going to be today. So makes sense? Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next one. Number 3, show buyers and market sellers. So well, kind of talked about that a little bit. I always get ahead of myself. Understanding the needs of your buyers and understanding the needs of your sellers, and then learning how to market a house. We are going to have to get back to those skills. So I realize I'm going to need to dig deep into some of the classes that I've gotten away from teaching, because this past 2.5 years, it hasn't been easy peasy, but it's been different. And I myself have gotten away from the habits and things that I used to do when I listed a house that now is very shockingly coming back to me in my face. Like I did, there wasn't time to hold opens. The houses were selling before open houses. I stopped doing feature sheets. Some of you would probably look at me and say, what the hell is a feature sheet? It's something that we used to do for every single listing, but we stopped doing it probably 2.5 years ago, because by the time we made the feature sheets and took it to the house for the first showing, the house was already under contract. So then we printed all this stuff for nothing. So lots of things like that are going to start to come back around, and we're going to have to be able to figure out, you know, how we're going to market this house, and not just on the MLS. And business, as most of you know it, has been put a sign in the yard and go on the MLS, and that's, the market will take care of itself. we're gonna evolve back into being the experts marketing those listings again. But also figuring out what it is that your sellers want and need and when they need to be there. And it's different for everybody. And I have a client right now that meant such a strange, and I'll quickly tell this story. I listed a house 3 months ago in Ridgewood. They told me right from the start, God has a plan for us. If the house is going to sell and we're meant to sell, it will sell. And we are stubbornly going to stay at this price, and we are absolutely not going to bend. We aren't going to do anything. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You'll have those people. We didn't have a showing for 40 days. Don't know why, can't imagine, not in this market, but we didn't. And then all of a sudden we started getting lots of showings, got offers, didn't get it together. It expired on Sunday. Guess what? Got an offer on Sunday night for 30,000 less than asking price. They said, no, not meant to be, not gonna happen. I told the agent, we're not even countering, by the way, we've expired. And she said, well, what is it that they want? And I said, they want full price. Guess what happened yesterday during class? I got a full price offer on my expired listing. Great, I did nothing for that. I mean, I did nothing at that point. Like, that was just they want full price and they want full price. That's the end of it. So what did my seller say? We want to take the dated price on it. This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. So now I'm hoping by the time we're done with class today, they've got their answer for me that they're going to accept their full price offer while we're now expired. So yeah, but again, their needs are very different than anyone else. Go ahead.
Can you have them sign like a 1-day contract?
So I will have to do another exclusive right to sell for the period of time to close, and then not the whole listing over again, and then get the contract together so I can reactivate it, because you can't just revive an expired listing. So a little bit more work, but that's okay. But everyone's needs are different. Their needs aren't they had to be somewhere. They didn't have to sell. They truly did not. And so just finding that out and rolling with it. I was never going to try to convince them to lower their price. And I was never going to try to convince them to take an offer that was less than they wanted to, because everyone that was in the market that was reaching out to them, those 2 days we were expired, who told them that I failed them, which they called and told me, they're like, I'm so mad these agents are calling me. They said that you failed us. And they said, no, she didn't. When we list again, we're going to list again with her in the spring. So I had a trusting, great relationship with them. And so that's what they needed. And that's what I gave them. So you have to understand that. And there was nothing that I was going to say to them that convinced them to take anything less than full price. And so now here we are. So you never know. So you've got to get those relationships, and you've got to be confident in yourself and roll with it sometimes, right? Questions on that? Buyers and sellers? All right, writing and negotiating contracts. Again, we're going to have a great workshop tonight at 6 here, only in person, writing and negotiating contracts. So I hope to see a lot of your faces there tonight too. So that's our fourth core competency. And so getting good at that is just doing it. There's nothing that I can tell you. We can sit in class and talk about it, but until you actually dig in and do it. So that's why I have you guys, jump on Dotloop and write your offers, and then let me know once they're ready. And then I look and we walk through it together then. You're going to get good at negotiating offers by also doing it. It's not something that you learn by sitting in a class. It just isn't. It's one of those exercises that you have to do, which is why we do a lot of workshops on writing offers. And then we're going to talk about what those negotiations can look like. We can't guess the different scenarios that are going to come up. You'll just kind of go through it with experience. That's why we want to practice it. So that's why I recommend you guys all, create loops. For those of you who are brand new, go on your Dotloop. You can't break it. You can't use too many. There's an endless stream of loops. So make fake scenarios, and that's something that you can do with your accountability partner if you haven't written an offer before. Play it out. Again, we do workshops on it several times a year, but it's a great way to get some different scenarios. It's also why we talk about it in our coaching group in the chat, because so many different things happen during negotiations. So that's just one of those things that you're going to learn over time, right? All right. Coordinate the sale to closing. So let me also say, this is actually we all think that showing the houses is the hardest part, negotiating the contracts the hardest part. It's not. The hardest part is actually keeping the transaction together. Whenever I've had a seller say to me, which I have not in this recent market, gosh, you sold the house in a week. Maybe we should reduce the commission. True story. I've had a seller say that to me. Again, not in this hot, normal seller's market where everything is selling fast. He actually thought because I didn't have to like spend 3 months marketing his house, that the commission should be less. Anyway, he should be thanking me. But nonetheless, I said, I'm good at negotiating contracts. So, but holding his deal together was very difficult. And what I told him was, my work begins now. The listing of your house and the marketing, that wasn't easy, but the hardest part and really where I'm digging in begins today. And so that's what you're paying me for. You weren't just paying me to market and stick a sign in your yard. So we do a class called Bulletproofing Your Transaction. And that's a great one to learn and to look at. That's also in Connect and Command if anyone's interested in looking at that, because holding the deal together and having the connections with your lender, having the connection with your title company, and having your connection with Lynn, so she can help you through what to do with your documents and how to get paid is extremely important in following along with that system. Bulletproof your transaction. All right, and the last one is manage your money. So this is kind of what we talked about yesterday. We talked about that, you know, what would I like to make? What's my dream money? What's my realistic money? If I want to take home 100,000, then I need to make 100 and what? 130, 140, what does that look like? Because I've got to have to be able to take my expenses out of that. I've got to pay taxes and so on. So managing the money is a huge part of any business, right? So you have to have the mindset that you are a business. You've opened a restaurant and it's you, whatever that is, you're the business. You don't work for Keller Williams as an employee. You know this because you don't get paychecks on Friday. So you have to manage your money like a business. And I know that's harder to do when there's few and far between commission checks, because you're waiting for it and you need it and then you spend it and you're not thinking of it as a business then that you have to manage. But
Do you set aside each and every check so you're prepared for it?
do I?
Yes.
Don't ask me that question. No, I have a tax person that handles all that stuff for me, but it's all in the business account. So I do have a business account. I created an LLC. And then my tax person said, because of the hammer that came down at tax time, that I needed to create an S Corp. So now I'm an S corporation and I'm an employee within my own business that I pay myself a salary. That way I don't have to pay the 16 or 17% self-employment tax. So I would highly recommend talking to your accountants about that kind of a thing when you get to a certain income.
Especially being your own business, you want to prepare for that it's coming. And then you don't want to be sitting around like, oh God, because I hear a lot of grumblings around tax time, like, oh, I gotta pay out. Well, are you prepared? If you plan for it, you'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. If the money's there, it's not a big deal. I've been working on doing quarterly payments. The best way to do it, because actually if you don't do it, they will actually charge you a fee for not doing it. So you should be definitely taking money aside for that. And if you don't know how to do that, I do know that coming towards the end of the year, or the beginning of the year, each market center typically brings a tax person in and talk about that. So that'll be coming too. All right. Moving on. So mindset matters. I think this is where we're gonna kind of do some exercise here and break off to each market center, guys. Yep. So let's go ahead and mute for about 5 minutes and talk about ahas and mindset. And we're gonna follow, for those of you guys instructors there, page 2.14 and ask these questions. So let's first talk
Okay, guys, we're jumping back.
All right. You guys are all ready to wrap up?
Sorry.
Talking, no, is that you? All right, we're gonna run right now into functionary versus fiduciary. Is that you? Oh, that's me talking. I can hear an echo.
Sorry.
All right. So earlier we talked about how to maintain mindset to focus on being in a place of service. And, you know, we come from a company that comes from a place of contribution and focusing on getting the job done and getting paid, but also about building relationships and staying in touch with people and building trust. And all of those activities are going to start to make you gain that confidence. So first, let's talk about what the difference is with functionary, and then we'll talk about fiduciary. So anyone have any idea of what the difference is between the two?
Well, fiduciary is what you like are obligated to do in your profession.
Mhm. Yep. So I'll just read it to you from Gary Keller's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. A functionary is one who is in a specific task relationship with their, they do the job. They do it. They just do their job. They function through, right? While a fiduciary is the one who is not only does the tasks of their job, but they're also in a high trusting relationship with their clients and feel totally responsible for the outcome. There's that win-win or no deal mentality. So can we be both? Do you think we can be both? We can be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
We can be mostly fiduciary, but also still be in the functionary, you know, I guess, driven, organized task person can still be able to have a fiduciary attitude, right? I like to think that I am very relationship driven, but also I like to keep things very organized and on task too. However, to keep relationships going, and as we say, we're not in the selling house business, we're in the relationship building business. You want to build a relationship with someone who you trust, and that's not going to be in the functionary zone. It's going to be in the fiduciary zone. Can anyone think of an example?
So when you guys are looking at that, what strikes out to me, it says minimally paid. Who wants to be minimally paid? Like the other one's like highly paid. Well, that's what I want.
Is there a slide on that?
They have this.
Oh, they have it in
their
their,
yeah.
okay, gotcha, because I don't have it in mine. Go ahead, Zarice.
So down here it says involved in the system. So how involved are you? Because I feel like whenever I have questions, I ask questions, like, what is that? What's best for my client?
So involved in decision making isn't you're making the decision and you're making the recommendations. It's asking questions and giving options. So I always say this: we are option providers. Here is door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3 as 3 options. Can there be more? I suppose, you know, so there's scenarios.
So is that the difference of like from you being like, oh, okay, just do whatever you want to do, go with whatever, versus someone that's saying, like, that's breaking it back to saying, well, this is why this might not be the best decision.
So I think 2 things. You can be an agent, and I'm sorry for those of you on Zoom who can't hear. He's asking, you know, what's our responsibility and what part of making decisions or helping our clients make decisions do we have? So I think that there's agents that let their clients make no recommendations. The client runs the show, even if they don't know what they're doing. And they sit back and say, what do you want to offer? How would you like to proceed? And they just don't give any kind of input whatsoever. Probably not the agent I want on the other side of a transaction, because why would the client know? It doesn't matter if they've bought and sold real estate. They don't know. They're not the professional. Then there's the agent who over services in the way of interfering with giving their clients. So like I have a deal right now where the agent's asking so many crazy questions about every little detail in the house. what was the age of the septic, all these different things, even though we've already put updates. I've got it all there in broker remarks. And she said she was writing an offer and she's not. And I guarantee these questions aren't coming from the clients. They're coming from the agent. The agent feels responsible to make sure she knows everything about the house before she writes an offer. So she's getting in the way of her client getting this house. So don't do that. So that's where you're stepping over the line, and you're not going to sell any houses like that either. So the middle ground there is finding out what is it that your clients want. And if what they say to you, Zarice, is, I want this house. I want this house. And I know we've had this conversation. And stop telling me that I shouldn't offer full price, or I'm not gonna get, I can try to get you a deal, or stop telling me that I should do a home inspection. Let me also say, we don't say don't do a home inspection, but if they're saying, what do I need to do to get this house? There's 25 other offers. Don't get in their way because you're so afraid that you're gonna do something wrong, that you don't get them the house because that's what they wanted. Now, if they said to you, I just can't not do a home inspection. I don't care if it doesn't get me the house, because we have those clients, and I can't see myself ever paying over asking price for anything ever. So it's more important to me that I can sleep at night. So I want to make my offer, and this is what it is. I don't care if I lose the house, then we'll go that path. As long as they know, here's what can happen. We're in multiple offers. The agent's telling me that's not going to cut it, but if we want to submit, let's submit. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just I get clients that, they tend to trust me a lot, and it comes down to, well, just put in whatever you think.
No,
How often do
never.
you get the, what do you think?
No,
What do you think's best?
Like, they want to keep too much power, too much control over it, and it's like, no, this is whatever you want.
so I'm gonna say this, you need to set the expectations at the beginning of your relationship, and then they'll stop doing that to you in the transaction. So let me say that again, set the expectations with your clients beforehand. So let me explain to you, Zarice, how this is gonna go. We're gonna start looking at houses, and here's what to expect. We might have other people in the house when we're there. That tells them what to expect. People get so mad when we pull in the driveway and there's other cars there. But if they know it before we get there, they're not okay with it, but they know what to expect. Everybody does better when it comes at them, and I already pre-warned them of the possibility. And then here's what to expect. In this market, we could potentially run into multiple offers. And here's some tips on making a good offer. How much you like the house, because isn't it about the house and how much they like it? If I really, really, really love this house, oh my gosh, I never thought that I'd find the house of my dreams, and this is the house of my dreams. It's very different than, yeah, this one, it checks most of the boxes. And people say that this checks most of the boxes. No, that could be a personality thing. Someone may never say, oh my God, I'm so emotionally connected to this house, I love it, just because of their personality type, right? So set the expectation that you're there to guide them through this, but you're not their lawyer. This is not a situation where we are their lawyer and you're telling them based on, guilt or innocence what they need to do. You are there to guide them and give them options and opportunities. And if you set that expectation up front, they won't say, hey, Zarice, you're the expert, you decide what I should do. That's how you get people mad at you, like Crazy Pants, who who I'm talking about. And because they then blame you later, because then they get into the house that they wanted, and they told you to make decisions for them that you did do. And then later they're like, whoa, this isn't really what I wanted, and now I'm mad at you because of it.
There's multiple ways to structure it.
Yeah, I mean, when people ask me what I think, it usually isn't at the offer stage. It's usually at the negotiating repairs stage, or it's about we're arguing over $1,000 stage, and then I have to have the break it down. You wanted the house so bad, are you really going to let it go over $1,000? Or you wanted to sell your house so bad, are you really going to let it go over $1,000? That's just a question. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Oh, I have a question. Similar to Zarice, like I have a listing where the buyer, when he came and saw the house twice, so he was really interested. And the agent was out of town, so she had another agent show. First time, loved it. We wanna see it again. They almost wanna make an offer. And then this agent came back from vacation and she's like, we need to talk about well and septic. And I was like, well, here's the information I have for you. It's not much. I
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah,
a lot of
keep that for you.
information.
Her question, in case they have run into the same problem.
I was just gonna jump in,
Yeah,
as much as possible, repeat the question.
Oh,
as briefly
okay.
As possible. from-
okay, they aren't hearing it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Go ahead.
Well, then the agent took it upon herself to like call the health department and try to get information on like the water. And she basically talked this buyer out of it. And she's like, it's not, it's gonna be so much work. It's not gonna be worth it. Before any inspection, before,
Yeah, and so,
I
so
don't
for
know.
those of you on Zoom, Caitlin's given an example of a agent before even an offer, took it upon herself to dig in about the well and septic and just basically talk the buyer out of, was it your listing?
Yeah.
Of making an offer on her listing. So I would say that's someone who's taking their fiduciary responsibility too far.
she's like, I've seen a lot of well and subjects in my lifetime, my career, kind of
Years.
one of those.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah,
That one wants to be minimally paid.
yeah, I mean, so like, well, right. Because when you take it so far, and again, and here's what happens too, I think, we all have experiences with other transactions that taint us to swing one way. So maybe a past transaction that she was involved in had something fall apart over a well and septic, and the client blamed her. And now she's taking steps to an extreme on the other side to make sure that doesn't happen again. And it's kind of like I see it all the time with home inspectors. I can always tell the home inspectors that's been sued before, because the way they say things in a house about something stupid, like a doorbell that doesn't ding dong, but it only dings. True story. And I'm not kidding. And so I'm like, okay, this guy's been sued over something before, because who says that, right? So there's a such thing as balance and taking it too far. So, or that's just a personality, like you'll start to know those agents, by the way. Oh gosh, this is that agent who's going to really interject themselves in a way that they are doing it to their client's detriment. And that just unfortunately does happen.
So you look from a world of education, is educate your clients, don't inject your opinion, but educate them as to what could happen.
Let's see here. All right, so with that said, we're gonna go ahead and divide into groups again. Sorry, guys, on Zoom, but each market center, we're gonna go over page 2.19, and we're gonna divide into groups. And we're gonna go over these 5. And we're gonna talk about the functionary and fiduciary responsibility of each one of those cores. So
2.8, I think.
Yeah, because there's 19. And she got rid of that.
Did you guys
10
hear us
minutes.
with about 10 minutes for page 219 for the instructors?
Yeah, we're good then.
2 minutes, guys. You want to gather all your thoughts?
Up here and talk to, group number one and tell us what you came up with.
Do you want like, just
Just your examples of functionary and fiduciary. Ding, ding, ding. I'm gonna bring a bill next week. So number, yeah, right. All right, group number one, tell us what your functionary and fiduciary examples were with your topic, which was.
The lead generating
Thank you.
capture and converting it to appointments. So for functionary, we put just delivers information versus advises and consults and creating relationships. So instead of just giving them the folder, you actually go over everything, setting expectations. Tells themselves for functionary versus educate and guide. So basically like buyer seller folders, actually going over the information, again, setting expectations. Functionary replaceable, and then converting that into being irreplaceable, giving value to what you offer, creating, establishing a relationship. And then lastly, we have for functionaries, uses low skill versus masters, high skill, giving them value, giving them resources to look into things. As an example for like schools, is it in a good school district? You don't want to give that information, but give them the resource to find it out themselves.
I like it. We use the mic.
At this point in my life,
Oh, yeah.
maybe.
No. Okay. All right, you know what, maybe what we'll do is, can you guys not hear them at all?
Can you hear any of our audience participating on Zoom or no?
Depends on how close they're sitting to the microphone.
We're just gonna have to have them come up.
Or why don't we do this? Why don't we just do this? Why don't you guys each go through each of your groups independently, and we'll do the same here and not do it as a group. Does that sound okay? Ask each group their question and they can go over their examples, and then we'll regroup again in another maybe 3 minutes. Would that work better?
Mike, Karen.
That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
About 1 minute, guys. We're wrapping back up.
Yep. Okay. All right, guys. I hope Beach Market Center found that to be a good exercise. Sorry for those of you on Zoom today. There's lots of very hands-on activities in today's class. All right, moving on. We're going to move on to accountability. And as I had said, we're going to go ahead and pick that accountability partner, and we're going to talk about what that's going to look like with you guys together as a group. And we're going to do a couple other activities with that. And what your accountability partner, should be there to help you do. Accountable people achieve results others only dream of. So if you're seeking it and you're wanting it, you need to find it. As I mentioned yesterday, Ken wanted to be back in coaching because he wants the accountable piece of it. He wants to know, how can I get this business that I've got growing back to the next level? Here at KW, it's all about learning on every level. It's not just brand new people. We've got people in coaching that have been in the business for several years that transferred from other companies and didn't get that kind of opportunity. So part of the coaching and the learning is the accountability. And by the way, your GPS should also be your accountability partner. You should be looking at that and seeing, oh gosh, am I holding myself accountable there? Couple of things that we're going to look at that you guys should be able to have as your accountability partner, to have trust and know that you're going to do for each other. Besides, you're going to pick a date, whether you do over the phone or you meet. Here's some criteria to give you some guides. And for those of you instructing, I'm on page 2.24. So provide a safe place to share information. So getting comfortable with each other, getting comfortable telling each other, what you're feeling vulnerable about. And avoid that. This is not a place to one up each other. And I've heard some conversations about different people's, scripting partners giving not bad advice, but one upping because they've had a better situation than somebody else. Get on the same level with them, but making it a place where they feel safe and, a little bit vulnerable, that someone's not going to exploit that, I guess is what I'm saying. Follow through with action items. If you say you're going to call at 9:30 every morning, call at 9:30 every morning. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know whenever I go back to working out example, I'll go to the gym and not just, work on my Peloton when I've got somebody. I don't need to have someone to go to the gym with, but if I do have someone to go to the gym with, that's someone who's holding me accountable. I can't leave them hanging and say I'm going to be there every Tuesday and Thursday and they're expecting me to be, right? And vice versa. How would I feel if that person didn't come? Would I still go? Would it feel the same? So don't leave that person hanging. Set your day and time. And it can be a phone call. It doesn't have to be a set, let's meet for coffee every Tuesday kind of a thing. Listen and pay attention while the other person is sharing. We oftentimes, and trust me, I am very guilty of this, we're thinking about what we want to say next, not what the person's saying. So really know that you can trust that accountability partner because they're actually listening and paying attention when you're sharing, and then the same will happen vice versa. Set frequent check-ins with each other, in particular while you're doing this 6-week course, of course. Dig deep to find out why they do the things they do. Respect each other and the process. Create and commit and stick to it. Be open to receiving feedback. So that would be what I would say is if someone is scripting with me and they're giving an example and it's going down a wrong track. Or they're saying something that I know might not be the best thing. And I might give an example of something why that would be. So critiquing, but in a very mindful way of not trying to one up, but hey, I've had an experience with that thing, and you might want to say it this way. And being open for that, like critiquing is not criticism of each other. And as long as you're in the same rhythm of understanding that we learn from those kinds of things and being in that zone with each other, someone that you trust, you're going to feel that way with, and giving that specific feedback and having each other's best interest. If you have each other's best interest, then you'll always be coming from a place of, good-heartedness, right? Questions about any of that? All right. We're going to break again because we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of role playing and scripting with your partner. So if you picked your partner, we're going to keep this to 3 to 5 minutes because I want us to be able to roll into the rest of this so we don't go over today. So 3 to 5 minutes max with your partner. I want you to kind of get a game plan together and get each other's contact information and get your next meeting or phone call together. So just 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. 1 minute, guys.
All right, we are on the last stretch here. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Now we're gonna talk with Lynn and we're gonna tie in that success tracker. Ding, ding, ding. That means everyone be quiet. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about, or Lynn's gonna talk to us about some system stuff. And we're gonna roll in that daily success tracker.
So for those of you that were here yesterday, they talked to me about the daily success tracker.
I thought she said sex trafficker.
Success tracker. You dirty minds out there. Okay, so basically the second step in the daily success tracker is adding 10 contacts. So if you don't know how to add 10 contacts, I'm going to kind of show you whatever CRM you use, still use this, adding the 10 people to your database. So where we're going, I'm going to use command and we're going to show you how to add this. And to get to command, if you've never been there, if you haven't been there and you don't have a CRM, please let me know. We're going to go to agent.kw.com. That's the fastest way to get there. So in this, everyone always gets confused. Like, I don't know what these icons on the left mean. Click this KW and then you can just read the words. Makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. That's all I know.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen on Zoom?
Yeah.
All right.
This is difficult. Okay. Hope this works. Of course not.
Too many things running.
Too many things running through one PC. Okay. So what can you guys see? Because this is going to be a full-on disaster. I'm going to talk about it. Okay, for the people in here, we're going to come up with add a contact. So you're going to put their full name. You can always give them a nickname later, but for this intents purposes, tell me their full name. If they have a spouse, you can add them separately and then connect them. That's the easiest way. So the relationship connects to each person. Their email, what is the primary email that they would use? What phone number are they going to use? You can always add additional phone numbers later. So if this is a lead, where did it come from? Is this a referral? Is this, hey, I got this off Facebook. Hey, I got this off of OpCity. So you know where this lead's coming from. So when you look back on your database in a year, you're like, oh, well, I know where Lynn came from. She came from Facebook. So you know it, as much details as you can give it is better for you. Now, tags are super important. Whatever database you use, you want to use tags. Why would I want to use a tag? Well, how do you know this person? So you can keep adding it. So I know them from church. I know them from my sphere. They were a past client. So the more information you can give yourself, so when you're looking back on this in a year, you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I sold them a house. Do I know when I sold them the house? So there's a lot of information you can put in here. So this additional information, when this pops up, like maybe their preferred method of contact is text messages. You guys love text messages and that's how you want to communicate with them. This is super important because when you know how to communicate with a client, their preferred method, it's easier to get a hold of them. So if I'm 75 years old and I don't know how to use text and you call me, that would probably be my preferred. Hi, how you doing? You don't want to text me because maybe I have no idea how to use the smartphone or I don't know how to respond. Or by the time you get a hold of me, it's months from now because I figured it out. You want to make sure you communicate them with the manner they like to be communicated with. Now, if you know their social profiles, this becomes fun. It's not absolutely necessary, but you can gather a ton of information because people post a ton of information on social media. Maybe you didn't know their birthday. You jump on Facebook, now you do. Because most people if you start looking around the room and Google yourself or Facebook yourself, how much public information do you have? Looked up a person yesterday, their cell phone was present. I'm like, oh, wow. That's really putting yourself out there. For you guys, what a great tool. Now I just grab their cell phone. Maybe it wasn't the same cell phone that they gave me. Now, do I actually have a real phone contact?
And if they're in businesses, like we put our cell phones out there, right? So if they're in any kind of business, that might be a reason that they make their cell phone public.
Or they just aren't paying attention to their social media profiles and now they're available.
Maybe.
Gotta love that. The about. So this becomes really important. So maybe you have a description. Maybe I met Gina through her daughter does my hair. So, or however you met that person, put it in there, because the more information you can give yourself, the better. This only helps you guys. People are like, well, I don't want to do that much. Well, what about in a year from now when you've completely forgot about that person and you can reach out like, oh yeah, I went and got my hair done. I just want to tell you how great it was. Or you can call her and say, you know, make
Heard you were in.
make
Yeah.
the connection. And it's just a way to touch that person easily. The more information you know, Facebook's a great tool to have a conversation. You can see what they're doing. Oh, you just had a baby. Congratulations. I just want to wish you congratulations. Whatever they're doing, if they're buying a house, then we have a real problem. So if you see that they just bought a house and you thought you were working with this person, maybe we should have found them sooner.
Yeah.
Do you know where they work? Because you never know who they could refer you to. So I work with a lot of real estate agents. If I knew someone, I have a lot of places to refer.
Yeah.
So maybe they have someone, maybe their friends are talking to them at work. So the more information you can gather, the best. Like the custom. So this is not, if you come down here for you guys, this custom, you're going to see random stuff. So command allowed you probably about May to add custom fields. So if it didn't have the right information for you, you can add it now. So say I wanted to sell one agent in here wanted a selling address because they were doing, I think they were doing FSBOs or something, or they needed other addresses. So they could put whatever custom field that suits their needs. So say you really, really are interested in what dessert they like. Say you really wanted their favorite dessert. So whatever's relevant to you, you could put in there, because maybe you do send them pies and their preference was apple. So their favorite dessert was apple pie. You could put it in your database so you could pull all this information later. It's like, okay, I'm sending them an apple. What do you do for Christmas? Do you send your people little gifts? Did you send them a note? Whatever's going to make it easier for you to touch that person. Not in a creepy way on Zoom, but just reach out, make that connection. So that is how you would add a contact, and then you would just create, and then it magically appears here. So as we look through mine, you guys are my clients. So you'll see Elevate in there. I just deleted all of Legacy because I was going to re-upload my list because I was going to make new notes. So I know this is super stalkerish, but I think of you guys as my clients. So every time I meet with you, I'm going to write down what we talked about. So say if I was in this person, because how am I going to remember everyone at all 3 market centers? I can come in here and leave notes. So I can add a note. So if I told Caitlin, hey, you know, next time we meet, I want you to make sure you have everyone tagged. So I can go back in there and look, and it says, oh, last time we met, she was supposed to tag people. If she didn't, I can still have that conversation. Hey, did you ever get around to tagging your people? If she didn't, then that would be, are you working on it? Or are you just like, no, this isn't happening? But then I would leave a new note. She still didn't do it, follow up in a certain amount of time, and maybe create myself a task to follow up with her. So if you guys have a conversation, note what you are saying. Now, command one above and beyond by giving you the app. So if you don't have the app, it's command mobile, and it's white letters with a red background. It links to your system. So whatever CRM you are, check into this, because that way I can do it on the fly. If I put it in the mobile, it goes to my regular, my desktop, or vice versa. So if I have a quick conversation with that person, I can add a quick note. Maybe I ran into them at the mall. Hey, you know, I seen them, this and that. Then you have touch points to see where you're going. Because if you're just looking at an empty database, like this. How do I know? Look, last time I talked to these people, don't, this is why it's getting revamped because I stopped using it. I'm guilty. A year ago. So if I haven't had any kind of conversations with these people in a year, they may have found somebody else because I'm not number 1 or 2 on their mind. I'm out. So if you ever need help, there's also a spot you can go. It is Connect. If you guys have never been there, it's a really cool spot. So we're going to go to training, maybe. And this is KW Answers. So why do I care about this? This can look up any command question I could possibly have. So say I had a question on how to create a contact. I can come right on in here, scroll down, getting started. And it will give you a step-by-step. So any question you guys ever have with command, check this spot out. Because you can go really deep. So if you're confused, this is a great reference tool. And that was just kind of a little overview on how to add a contact, kind of simplified, but for you guys, if you need help, Answers is support. I got tons of videos or just reach out. That's it for me.
All right, awesome. All right, guys. If anyone has any questions or input from today, now would be a time. I wanted to also tell you tomorrow's class is Connect with Your Market. Same time, same place. I'm hosting here in Canton, and next week we'll be doing, for Legacy, we'll be doing the watch party here as we shift to having the actual host in another market center. I believe it's Elevate next week, yes?
Is it Elevator Living next week?
In any case,
So check your calendars,
Yeah.
keep yourself up to date.
either way, for us, it's gonna be here, and we're gonna be doing the watch party, kind of like how their market centers are doing the watch party at their offices. So we'll be zooming out and then doing the watch party here. So now today, the plan would be to, set something up with your accountability partner and use that success tracker to track the, calls, note cards, Facebook posts, or Facebook touches that you guys have. All right, so wanted to get done a few minutes early.
And those on Zoom, thank you for attending.
Thank you.